everyone. Look who I'm with today. It is my BFF, Kat.
Aww.
We are going to be talking about orgasms today, and we wanted to make this video because this is something that we talk a lot about on our podcast together called Ladies Who Lunch, and this is a project that we have been working on all this year, essentially.
I can't believe it's been so long.
I know, it's so crazy that this year is coming to an end. We've been posting new episodes every single week, and we just wanted to let you know, if you don't know already, about our podcast because it's something that we have wanted to do for so long, and it's cool that it has actually happened. And we essentially just talk about the things that we enjoy talking about as friends, since we have been friends for like
almost 6 years.
Almost 6 years. And we talk a lot about relationships and sex. Recently, we talked about orgasms. We had a whole dedicated episode to orgasms where Lacey Green, who is amazing, was our guest. And I wanted to talk about orgasms a little bit more and focus on some of the myths around orgasms, specifically the female orgasms.
And there's a lot of myths around this.
Exactly. So if you want to listen to our podcast and or the episode that we did on orgasms, you can go to itunes.com/LWL. So right now in this video, we're going to do a little true or false about orgasms. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. True or false? Orgasm is always the main goal when having sex.
False.
That is correct. So
I think I'm going to ace this test.
I know. I think we're both going to do pretty well here. But I think that this is a really common myth that sometimes we believe ourselves when we're in the act of having sex. Like there's a lot of pressure sometimes to have an orgasm, whether that pressure is coming from yourself or your partner
or both,
whatever it happens to be. Ultimately, it's not the main goal. It can be a goal.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously that's a great thing to happen when you're having sex, but you can also have sex and just enjoy being intimate with someone. It's not just about, we have a checklist of things that have to get done while we're together right now.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Exactly. And sex can be so much more than having an orgasm. But I mean, having an orgasm is awesome.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be like the end all be all.
Yeah, like doesn't mean like sex is a failure. Like you just had the worst sex ever if you weren't able to have an orgasm.
Mm-hmm.
You can still have a good time.
Exactly. Yes, you can. Number 2, all women are capable of having an orgasm.
False.
So this is interesting because while most women are capable of having an orgasm, not all women are. There are women who may be able to have an orgasm and aren't having orgasms, but then there are also women who are physically incapable of having an orgasm. Sometimes that comes along with health issues that the woman is dealing with. There is such a focus on orgasms when it comes to sex, and orgasms are really awesome, but I think that we also need to recognize that not everyone is having orgasms, and it's for various different reasons, and it's still possible to have enjoyable sex. And it's also possible to have intimacy, and if you want, a combination of both of those things without having an orgasm.
I can't speak for everyone, but with my experience, there'll be guys that just assume I've had an orgasm because they did, and I'm just like, hello.
I'm a different person also.
I mean, and I don't always say anything. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll just straight up say something, and sometimes I don't. But it's frustrating when people just assume that you have, or they assume that you're not going to, so they just stop, or it's just like, whoa. Like, we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
Like, this is just not going to go unseen, and we're not going to just forget that this didn't happen because you did and I didn't, or whatever. And we'll talk about more of that later. But I think that if you don't have a health condition, I think most women are capable of having an orgasm. You just have to figure out how, because every single woman is different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a tricky labyrinth, like,
Yeah.
to figure it out. And some people it's easier than others. It's just your body sensitivity and knowing yourself and being honest about what feels good and what doesn't feel good. Like, so many times your partner, you want to make them feel good because they're trying to make you feel good, and so you don't want to hurt them and be like, you really suck at this, or like, this could be improved by this. Like, it's really good to communicate because it might hurt their feelings, but at the end of the day, it's better to have that conversation than to not have it.
Yeah. What I've noticed is that whenever I've been honest with a partner, even though I may have like a cringe moment, especially when it's during and I'm like, oh, like,
I don't want to say something.
It has always just worked out for everyone's benefit.
Exactly.
Something was said. And I think, you know, for me personally, what I've noticed is that sometimes things that normally will feel really good sometimes don't.
Yeah.
Depending on the sensitivity of my body, like where I am within my period cycle, how much.
Also, like, your uterus moves,
Yeah.
which affects, like, a lot, apparently.
And also how much sex you've been having. Like, maybe you're a little bit sore, so things that normally feel really good may actually be hurting you a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think that communicating that is so helpful. And if you are with someone that at the end of the day respects you, they are just going to be like, cool, all right, I'll adjust.
And they're gonna, like, appreciate that you could be honest with them and tell them. Because I think that's how you would feel. Like, if someone told me, like, I really, like, if you could just try doing this, or you could try doing this, and like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, let's see. No big deal to me. Like, you're just trying to help them. So it's like someone else's orgasm isn't really entirely your responsibility, but it's like a partnership thing. It's like, it takes two people. You can't just, like, sit there and hope it's gonna happen, and you also can't just assume it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
As the other person.
And their orgasm is not yours, and your orgasm is not theirs. Honestly, like, one of the hottest things to me is being with somebody who wants to give me pleasure just for the sole purpose of giving me pleasure.
Fun.
Because it's fun, and it takes the pressure off. And I love doing the same thing as well.
Same.
Yeah. And it just makes everything so much better when both of you are on that level together. Number 3, you can always tell if someone fakes an orgasm.
False.
Definitely
a big ass.
100% false.
Like, especially living in LA, there's a lot of actors here, you know, like, we're pretty good. Yeah, you definitely don't know. You do not know what's going on with someone else's body unless they have told you, or
maybe you've been together for a really long time and you kind of understand, like, what it feels like when they do.
Yeah, like, there's actually biological things that happen, but people can fake, like, shaking, you can fake noises, you can fake heavy breathing. I mean, it is so easy to fake an orgasm, and you don't know, and people are not going to tell you they're faking. That's why, that's the whole point of faking.
Have you faked an orgasm?
I haven't. I generally will not, but there's times when someone's trying so hard that I do pretend that I have a little one.
Okay.
I've never faked, like, a huge one, but I've faked a little one before.
And you're like, this is just.
But I generally don't. Like, no, it's like, it's because I really like you that I'm doing this. But generally, general rule of thumb is I will say no. Like, I will not fake an orgasm because it's not to, like, prove a point or anything, but it's to say, like, I always acknowledge, like, and thank and appreciate, like, if someone's tried or made an effort to, like, really care about my orgasm, then I will thank them for that, but be like, it's just not going to happen today or tonight or whatever. And sometimes people are like, well, was it something I did? I'm like, no. Like, it's me. Like, it's just, I'm stressed, or I'm thinking about other things, or my body just doesn't feel right today. And, like, that can happen, but it doesn't necessarily directly reflect on them. So I try to be really, like, gracious if I say it's not going to happen, because I don't just want to be like, this is not going to happen. Like, you suck at this. Like, because that could be really damaging to someone.
Yeah,
so
totally.
I try to be really gentle whenever talking about something like that. But
I think being gentle and kind and honest are all things that can live together within the world of sex. I think that when you fake an orgasm, it's essentially telling the person that you're with, that was really good and I should do that next time. And if that didn't actually work, then you're kind of just, you're not maybe going in the direction that
like
you would
faking
like
it
to
actually,
go.
like if someone's doing something and it feels great, just fake it so the next time, like you know it'll eventually happen. It just wasn't happening that time.
Yeah.
That's a good way to do it.
I will confess that I have definitely faked orgasms in the past to make sex end. I don't do it now in my life because I have recognized, like, okay, you know, I don't want to be misleading my partner. And if I want sex to end, I'll just say it. I'll just say it and end it, and the person that I'm with will understand that. And that has definitely been the case now in my life, which is awesome that, you know, you can
Get to that point.
Reach that level of honesty and being comfortable with yourself and somebody else. This is an interesting one because I've definitely heard people say this whether they were joking or being honest, and I think there's a little bit of truth in every joke. TBH. Using a vibrator implies that sex with your partner isn't good enough. And on the other side of that coin, if you're already having awesome sex, there's no need for sex toys. That's false.
I was like, I'll let you answer this. I mean, I know the answer, but
that's definitely false. I have for sure heard people say, oh, you know, I don't want to use a vibrator because I'm afraid that I'm just going to become, you know, totally reliant on it. And I've heard other people say, I don't want my partner using a vibrator, or I get jealous of my partner using a vibrator because I feel like it's a replacement for me, or you're
not good enough, and so they have to use a vibrator, which sometimes is the case. Sometimes it's not that they're not good enough, but it's like sometimes it's just not going to happen without a little assistance.
Yeah, sometimes, but it doesn't mean that, you know, like
someone's bad.
There's something like inherently wrong.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
And I think that if sex toys are something that you want to explore, I think that that's something that you should be able to explore.
Absolutely.
And if you want to do it with someone else at the same time, that could also be a really cool experience. And I think that if you're already having awesome sex and you're thinking, well, there's just no need for sex toys, I mean, that could definitely be the case. Maybe you don't want to use sex toys, and that's totally fine. But you could
shouldn't hold yourself back if you're curious or want to try.
Exactly.
Because you're worried you're going to offend your partner. You just need to talk about it. Talk. Talking is like the key to sex that like makes everything better. Because
it could end up like, oh, well, this, you know, wasn't for us, but it could also turn into like whoa, this is something that maybe we'll integrate more into our sexcapades. I feel like such a dork saying that, but I couldn't resist. Next one. It's totally fine for only one person to have an orgasm during sex.
True.
That is true, my friends.
It's totally okay. Yeah. Like you can be, because like at the beginning we said, an orgasm isn't the end all of sex. Like if someone doesn't have an orgasm during sex and someone else does, that's fine. It doesn't mean you're not in love. It doesn't mean, you know, one of you deserves it more than the other, or like thinks that they're entitled to it and the other isn't. It doesn't mean all of that. It could mean all of that, but it doesn't have to. It could be in like a healthy situation where you're hooking up and one of you has an orgasm and then you're just done. You're like,
exactly. Like I have been there plenty of times and it doesn't make it any less pleasurable. And I think it's because it, you know, it makes a huge difference in terms of like who you're with and having that mutual understanding. But there have definitely been times where, you know, I've only had an orgasm and then I'm just kind of in this like
you're like I'm dead and going to sleep.
And there's absolutely no pressure to do anything else. I think when we read a lot about sex, when we hear about it, there's always that factor of like both people should be having an orgasm. Like I'm demanding an orgasm, which is great because if you do want to have an orgasm, you should definitely have an orgasm. But I think underneath that, what the foundation of those conversations really is the intention of reciprocation and giving pleasure to your partner. I think it's totally fine in a sex session for only one person to have an orgasm and for that to just be it. If there is,
not a pattern of that.
That's not the general pattern, and that's not the thing that is wanted.
Yeah. Like you're not leaving your partner and being like, well, I just had an orgasm and I'm too tired. Like, I'm not gonna. It's more like you don't even have to like have that struggle because you're just like both comfortable in your relationship that you both don't have to without it somehow threatening or meaning something negative about your sex life. And that, but yeah, like as you said, if there's a pattern of it of like one person regularly has an orgasm and someone else doesn't, and you guys just kind of like accept that, that's not really cool.
Especially if the other person, wants an orgasm, then there's going to be resentment that builds up, and it can get it's not good, and it makes the other person feel really bad. It's going to cause issues within your relationship, and so that's why I think that the mutual feeling of reciprocation, that intention of wanting to reciprocate, whether or not it happens every single time, is really important. And that intention of wanting to give the person pleasure. But the actual act of reciprocation doesn't have to happen every single time to have amazing sex. I think it's about that mutual underlying intention. Last but not least, having safer sex doesn't feel as good. So there are different kinds of safer sex, but I think here we're going to focus on condoms and perhaps dental dams.
What's that? Oh my god, I'm about to learn something.
I'm going to Google it
For
you. It's a thin sheet of normally latex that goes over your genital area.
Okay.
For oral sex. So.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Do people just do that for like, I guess, whoa. I never thought about that.
And
have you ever used it?
I've never used one before.
Me neither. I didn't even know what it was.
It kind of looks like if you were to take bubble gum and like stretch it out in like latex form.
Yeah, I mean, I think the bottom line here is every body is different, and if I find that a guy isn't really respecting me or doesn't really care about me, he's gonna make remarks or comments that are like, it just feels better without using a condom. Do we have to use a condom? I'm like, I don't even want to have sex with you anymore because if you're asking me that, you don't give a shit about me, and now I'm not turned on anymore. That.
And it's that erasure of that element of respect, which I think should always be in place no matter what kind of sex you're having, whether it's monogamous sex, non-monogamous sex, you're in a serious relationship, you're not, you want to be intimate, whatever it is. I think that is the key. Honestly, I think it's such a cop-out when people say, oh, I can't get pleasure if I am wearing a condom, or if I'm using some kind of protection, sex just isn't going to be good. I think that is an absolute cop-out, because one, having safer sex ultimately puts your mind more at ease, so you don't have to worry about the things.
Am I going to get pregnant? Am I going to get a disease? Like, has this person been with a lot of people before? Like,
it puts you more at ease, so then sex can become more enjoyable. And if you do find that using things like condoms or a dental dam, is a little bit less stimulating physically, there are ways to get stimulated before you integrate those elements into your
sex session.
I think that there are always ways to make it work, and always ways to just have awesome sex. And I think that awesome sex is safer sex. Making sure that both people are taken care of. And we have one more bonus true or false question. Is there a difference in terms of female orgasm between an internal orgasm and an external orgasm? And if you want to hear that answer, you will have to go over to our podcast and listen to the episode that we did about orgasms with Lacey, because I think what she has to say will blow your mind. That is going to be it for today. Thanks, Kat, for being here.
Yay.
And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast if you would like to hear us talk about stuff like this and many more things.
Many more.
We have new episodes that go up every single Tuesday. And if you do subscribe, make sure you leave a rating and a comment for us, because that really helps us in terms of just making our podcast better for you, our listeners. And if you have any suggestions for us, you can tweet us on Twitter using the hashtag HeyLWL. Also, if you want to talk to us a little bit more in depth, at the end of every episode, we read letters from you guys. So if you have some kind of life dilemma, some kind of issue that you are trying to work through and you're not really sure what to do about it, you can write us an email at heyladieswholunch@gmail.com, and absolutely no topic is off limits. Like, we literally talk about everything. So come to us. Come to us with your questions.
Your questions about life.
Yes. We also did a video on Kat's channel where we answer some of your burning sex questions. So I will have that video linked down below for you guys. So make sure you go and watch that, and we'll see you later. Bye.